great respect of our beloved Master who gave me a wonderful opportunity to study this holy science, I start this short glimpse of study up to my knowledge, which I believe that it would be useful to these students like me. Materia Medica. As we all know, it is a vital and a vast subject for us to study. Being a second year student, we will be all figuring out a way to study it easier. I felt it would be easier and useful if I had to compare it with the natural science which are present in the sources and comparing it to the science which are produced in the healthy individuals during the pathogenetic trials, which is basically drug proving. So the Latin medical term used for the body of collected knowledge about the therapeutic properties of any substance used for healing, that is medicines. The branch of medical science concerned with the study of drugs used in the treatment of diseases. So today we are going to see about the drug which is the animal kingdom, Apis Mellifica. The poison of honeybee, Apium virus, which means in this case the word virus denotes the word poison. And the epitoxin or the honeybee venom is a cytotoxic and hemotoxic bitter, colorless liquid containing proteins which may produce local inflammation. The method of preparing the tincture is to putting them alive in the alcohol, especially the whole working bees. So it belongs to the class Insecta and under the family Apidae. The part used is the whole live bee, as I've already told you earlier. It was proved by Frederick Humphrey. The active principle present in the bee venom is the toxalbumin, and it is of the origin, mainly of the European origin. So this is a picture of the honeybee, and it is mainly seen as three parts, which is the head, the thorax and the abdomen. So as I already told you regarding the comparative study between the science, the natural science in the sources and the science which have been true in the healthy individuals. So that is known as the Doctrine of Signature. So what is Doctrine of Signature? The relation between the external physical characters of a drug substance and the signs and symptoms of the medicines produced during the pathogenetic trial on the healthy human beings. It is one of the important sources of Materia Medica, and it helps to study Materia Medica in a literal style by comparing the symptoms, thereby making the subject more interesting. For us students, it is very easy to remember the symptoms. And we are going to see about the Doctrine of Signature of the drug Apis Mellifica. So we saw that the parts of the honeybee are head, thorax and abdomen, and there is a constrictive feeling as it's present in the drug, as it's present in the source. There is a constriction between the thorax and abdomen. The patient will also have a feeling of a constrictive feeling which is present between the thorax and abdomen. And the eyes of the honeybee are usually wide, so that we consider as a suspicion. And there is you might have known that the queen bee will kill the worker bees after mating, so that denotes domination and jealousy. And basically the worker bees are hard workers, so those are the male bees. And awkwardness and carelessness, so the bees which collect pollen from the flowers, during the period of collection they may drop few, and that will denote some awkwardness and carelessness that will be seen in the Apis patients. And whenever we think about honeybee, the thing which comes into our mind is the stinging nature of it, and the pain. Some of you might have experienced it, and the pain, that is a stinging pain, and the edema of the apis is a shiny and waxy appearance. Nervousness and restlessness. You must have seen the bees flopping their wings very frequently. So that denotes nervousness and restlessness. The sensitiveness, which is you can barely touch the bee. You can very rarely touch it. It's very sensitive to touch and pressure. Regarding the thirstlessness, you can see when we spray a water, if you water around the bees, it may fly off. So that is the case. And regarding the female apis, the female behaves like a queen. They are very hard to be pleased, and they have a very intense sexual pleasure. There is a jealousy of other female, so it's basically a dominant character. And as far the males are concerned, they are hard workers, and they find hard to please the female partner, and they also have the intense sexual desire. Now moving on to the sphere of action, they act on the cellular tissues, producing edema or dropsy. Collection of fluid in serous cavities, which is known as cytis, and the edematous inflammation in mucous membrane, such as the inner lining of the buccal cavity or the esophagus or the GIT basically. And on the skin, you have allergic rashes, urticaria. On the glands, like tonsils, ovaries, testes, etc. And it also acts on the kidneys, bladders, nerves, heart, and respiratory system. So it's predominantly a right-sided remedy, and it is of the stroma's constitution. The stroma means thyroid gland enlargement, like maybe goiter or something, and strophilos is basically of the tubercular thing, and it is sodic miasm with glandular enlargement. And for the cancer of fibrous tissue, cancer of serous tissue, open cancer generally means of the cancer which are found on the skin, any disease with edematous appearance and stinging pain, inflammatory with indication of gangrene, usually a remedy for widows. As I already told you when we were discussing about the doctrine of signature, the queen bee kills the worker bees after mating, so it leaves it as a widow. So this is the remedy for widows. And they easily become awkward when they drop things, like a butterfinger kind of thing. And they have bad effects of suppression of exanthematous diseases. These are basically an erective conditions. Example, chickenpox and measles. Fear of apis. They have a great fear of birds. And this may be also taken in account of in Doctrine of Signature, because for the bees and insects and all, the predators are mostly birds. And the temperament is they are hysterical and irritable. And the word hysterical is from the hysterectomy you must have heard. So that is usually uterus. It's kind of female thing. And there is an irritable nature of the apis patients. Causative factor. One of the basic general causative factors are jealousy, suspicion, rage. Rage is extreme or violent anger. From bad news, vexation. Vexation is an irritated state of mind. Bad effects of exanthematous suppressions, maybe due to ointments or something, some external applications, and insect bite and debauchery. So now we're going to see about the characteristic symptoms. They have a bag like puffy swelling. It's an edema which are found in the lower eyelids. Edema on the lower extremities, we can see that commonly in the renal complaints, and anasarca, that is a generalized edema. The edema will be usually of an waxy, shiny appearance. Burning, stinging, sore pain suddenly migrates from one part to another. Dropsy, edema-like, without the thirst. So that is some sort of a characteristic thing of when it is dropsy without thirst. Thirst only during chill state of intermittent fever. They're basically thirstless, but they feel thirsty only during that stage of intermittent fever. Sensitivity to touch and pressure. Rapidity and violency of the complaints. They have rapid complaints and it will be very severe. And they are basically hot patients. So now we're going to see about the mental generals. They have absent-mindedness, poor memory, unclear thinking, slow march of ideas, weeping tendency, restlessness, and they want to frequently change their occupation. As you all might have seen, that the bees often tend to change their position from one place to another. So we can maybe consider that as in Doctrine of Signature. They are nervous and irritable. They are very hard to please. They have an increased sexual pleasure, jealousy, suspicion, warning, weeping, and crycephalic. Have a high pitched, like tearing kind of cry. And now we're gonna see the modalities. The aggravations are after sleep, heat in any form that is maybe internal or external, and they desire cold milk, warm, getting wet, touching pressure, and evening and lying down. Amelioration, the complaints are ameliorated by cold water application, open air, uncovering, sitting erect, coughing, and there is a presently complaint of a respiratory complaint, something like that, and the change in position. The particular, mainly for the renal and the urinary complaint, there is an incontinence urine, involuntary urination with much irritation. Urine is scanty. They may contain RBCs in their urine. Hematuria. Burning in urethra before and after passing urine. Scalding pain before and after urination. Strangury. The word that generally means that there is a discomfort which is accompanied by frequent voiding of small amounts of urine. Great irritation of neck of bladder, albuminuria, and milky urine. Now regarding the skin, there are insect bites, erysipelas, edematous swelling, bad effects of suppression of acute xanthomatous eruptions, burning or stinging like spots on skin, red spots like bee stings, large urticaria, carbuncle, remedy for an open cancer. So the carbuncle, that word usually means there's a pus which are coming out from a multiple number of holes. And now to the GIT, so the diarrhea of the Apis is maybe due to the suppression of eruptions, drunkards, involuntary passage of stool from every moment. Wide open sensation of anus, constricted feeling between thorax and abdomen. I had already mentioned this in the Doctrine of Signature. And they have a desire for cold milk. In case of constipation, it is too hard and the person will feel that something will break if he is straining. Then the intermittent fever. And at the cold stage, we have already seen that they have thirst at the cold state. Chill at 3 p.m. with thirst, and aggravated by warm room and aggravated by external heat. During the heat stage of the intermittent fever, they have thirstlessness and burning, dry, hot skin. Then they have muttering delirium and unconsciousness. The skin will be alternating between the dry and perspiring. So it will be dry, but it will be sweating. Trembling and jerking along with the twitching of muscle, stiffness of the lower jaw, swellings of gland around the neck, and great restlessness. So now we're going to see about the clinical indications. So as far as what we have seen already, it is about the points which can be written in the exams. So now for the clinical indications, It is for the eye infections like conjunctivitis and stye, and they have sore throat, hives and stings from insect. Hive is also another type of bee sting or some kind of thing. Okay? And urinary tract infection, albuminuria, ovarian cyst, housemaid's knee. You must have read this in the first year anatomy. It's also basically another type of synovitis which occurs in the knee. Varicose vein. And a fun fact is epitoxin injection. Bee venom is given as a shot for the rheumatoid arthritis, nerve pain, that's neuralgia, reducing the reaction to bee stings in people who are allergic, desensitization, and tendinitis, and some other muscular things such as fibromyalgia. And disclaimer: nothing in this PPT is meant to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any illness. So please consult your homeopathic practitioner for treatment options. And I would like to share interesting திருக்குறள் which and it is நோய் நாடி நோய் முதல் நாடி அது தணிக்கும் வாய் நாடி வாய்ப்பு செயல். So the meaning is, let the physician inquire into the disease, the cause of disease, the way to alleviate it, and it should be treated in a manner that is appropriate for the body as well as according to the medical rule. Thank you all.